Hey, friends, welcome back to the Do Cool Shit podcast. I'm your host, Meryl, probably always will be your host. And I have another very special, awesome guest here today, Laura, aka Coach Laura. And she is a functional health coach, nutrition coach, also works with behavior change. And Laura, fill in the blanks wherever I miss. But I'm going to ask you to describe yourself
Oh, no.
with outside of what your job is. And we're going to talk about coaching stuff, as we get into this and things that'll be helpful for our listeners. But I also want to deep dive for you because I think you're just an awesome
Aw.
person with a great story and a lot of valuable, beneficial
Well, I
life
tell you what,
experience.
awesome people attract awesome people, so that's why I'm here, because 'cause you're awesome. Um, Geez, I'm not gonna give you my life story. Um, what do I do outside of work? I'm just me. I love my dog. We hang out because I work from home. I have done so many things. Like you're like, she's a functional health coach. She's a nutrition coach. She does this. I've taught yoga. I have taught spin classes. That was fun. I do personal training. I've done all the things. I was a teacher. I was an instructional coach. I was a principal of an elementary school. I'm old. Can you tell? I've done all the things, and nothing honestly is more fulfilling or more important than what I do right now. And I think everything I've done to this point has led me here, right? Like not just professionally, but like personally. I got my first gym membership when I was 16. Thank you, Dad. And by the time I was 18, I was in full-blown anorexia and bulimia. Because I was a fat kid. I was like my sister and my brother. I have an older brother, and younger sister. My younger sister's nickname was Twig growing up.
Uh,
Twig, right? And I just naturally bigger, and I was a big girl. I used to eat a bag of potato chips for lunch in 4th grade. A whole
like
bag
a
of
whole
them.
bag.
Not that time.
Uh,
You get like the boxes of potato chips where the 2 bags are in them, and back then they were actually full.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd bring that bag. I'd be sitting there, yeah, heck yeah, hanging out with my friends who were always boys, and we just sit there and shout out. It was great. Yeah, I ate everything. We had ice cream every night at my house growing up. Very healthy place to be. So yeah, so I grew up, I was fat. And by the time, I hit that 16, people had made fun of me. I got, made fun of for that for a variety of reasons. And I just kind of took it the other way. And then I was anorexic and bulimic from the age of, 17-ish until I did eating disorders therapy when I was 38.
Wow.
So, in that time, I went to college, I quit college, I went back to college, I did all the things, and it's interesting. I didn't know that I was any of those things. I just knew that I could control my life through not eating food or controlling my food. And trying to control how I looked on the outside and totally disregarding how I felt or looked on the inside. So, yeah, it was interesting to find out. I remember the first day I met my therapist, her name's Tevra. I've had her on my podcast. She's amazing. And I sat in her office and she said to me, everything you're telling me, what I really want to do is I want to put you in inpatient treatment right now. And I'm like, what? You're kidding. She goes, no, you're anorexic. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, look at me. And I use humor, right? So I'm like, look at me. I'm not a very good anorexic if this is what you're judging anorexia by, And she was like, haha, you're not funny. But it was interesting to learn those things about myself and learn that, bulimia isn't just throwing up because I didn't do that. I used exercise as bulimia. So like the work that I do now, I see so many women who are like, no, I have to eat less and I have to do more and I have to do all these. And I'm like, let's stop thinking we have to be less than and look less than and take up less space and just run ourselves into the ground. It drives me crazy. And that's why I do what I do. But that's kind of where my heart is. I'm always, I think the actions that we do, like I'm talking about the anorexia and the bulimia and the exercise and all those things, they they really are just the outward version of what we're doing internally, right? Internally, a nightmare. Internally, I couldn't deal. Internally, my coping mechanism sucked. Internally, I didn't want to deal with anything. And I was trying to distract and trying to keep myself busy and do all those things. And that's, I think, and I know that you do this too. It's not really just, we don't work with our clients or anybody, even I'm sure even with your loved ones. It's not about the actions and the habits so much as it's those habits get us to talk about um, internally what's going on and our why and why are we doing this and what are the things that move us into making those decisions and having those choices. um, and that's where the real work is, truly.
Truly. That honestly, that is what I hear from clients all the time is they say, I didn't realize how much mental and how much emotional was going to be part of this process. And not in a negative way, just like I didn't realize that that was going to be part of it. And I didn't realize that that was so necessary as part of getting them to this place where they feel confident and competent and have that self trust and accountability.
So with people you work with, do you find that that comes quickly or does it take a while? No, I mean, but so you probably have a way that you work with them, right? So where do you start? How does that look?
Oh, it's like a switched interview now.
No, I have
Uh,
to ask
I
questions
love
too.
that.
It's interesting.
No, I start in asking people just to like talk about what their experience has been, what they want. And from there, there's usually a lot of language that pops up that we can, dive into, limiting language that will identify where their mindset is at, where their mental aspect is at. Asking questions, which I would love to hear more. I'm going to turn it back on you, obviously, afterwards, because you just said you're working in a mentorship with emotional side of eating as well. Is the why, like, hey, what behaviors are going on and what's driving those behaviors? And that's a lot of the focus is, of course, we're adding in certain habits. Like most people want to change their body composition, improve their health, their longevity.
Mhm.
And I almost always think of those things as byproducts in the process of working on their mental, emotional, behavioral aspects.
Sure.
So, a lot of introspective work
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
Which I love that you said that because the introspective work is so important, but we also have to put action with it,
Yeah.
right? Because if we don't put action with it, like we're just sitting here thinking all day long. And honestly, I've had clients like that where like they're doing a great job of thinking about stuff, but
Yeah.
it's like, but when you wake up in the morning and you hit your alarm, you're like, fuck it, I'm not getting up. Like, but you still have to do some stuff, right? And it's interesting. I have a hard time doing client calls via Zoom because I think so much better when I walk around, like when I'm moving. And they've done a ton of brain-based research on that, where if you're trying to learn something new or change your patterns or or kind of really dig in mentally, is if you move around. Like working with little kids, we can teach them so much better if they're actually moving while we're having them learn. So I just think it's important, like you said, to partner at least some small action, depending on where the person is, with that deeper kind of work as we work into that.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that because that inaction is often actually procrastination, right? There's like people that procrastinate by trying to learn more or gather more information or they're scheduling things but not actually doing the things and the action is completely necessary and action paired with introspective work and observing how you feel, where things get you, digging into the uh the internal things around what you're doing because that is how you build the evidence.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I talk to people all the time about that. It's like, okay, so I have a client who she like cookies were her thing. And I go,
uh,
okay, when you get home and you start reaching for that cookie automatically, because she would just do it. I said, what I want you to do is I want you to just stop. Just stop. Take a breath. I need you to pause, like that purposeful pause to go, wait a minute. What do I really need in this moment? Right? Like, because there's that piece too, is like we can do a ton of actions and have no thought with that. Right. And then we're just on autopilot, just going, 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 going. It's like it's like everything. It's like Goldilocks. What's the perfect middle ground?
So you're saying understanding what like what you're needing, what you're really needing in that moment, and then what you're going for to cope, really.
Hmm.
How are you feeling right now? What do you really need? I have similar conversations with clients with similar instances with clients. It's like you need the cookie because you had a day that was higher stress. Like, are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling lonely? Do you need a hug?
Hmm.
You know, it's a different bringing different coping mechanisms into play. Do you work with that as well?
Absolutely. And I think that's just a huge space to enter into with someone, right? Because nowadays, and I say this all the time, nowadays, everything that is coming at us is telling us in one way or another that we need to disconnect from ourselves and pay attention to everything else. And when
Uh,
we pay attention to everything else, are we really living life? Are we really doing things that align with our values? Are we really having a relationship with ourselves?
uh,
If we are not, like you said, stopping, reconnecting, asking ourselves questions, really digging into ourselves. Because if we're not doing that, we don't have a relationship with ourselves. And if we don't have a relationship with ourselves, all our other relationships suffer
uh,
or become disingenuous or just become, you know, like we talked about earlier before we jumped on, just become this thing that we're feeding, but nothing's feeding us. Right. Right? It has to
yeah.
start with reconnecting with ourselves and finding out, why are we doing these things? What are our coping mechanisms? Are they still serving us? Right? Like I was saying, you know, when I was anorexic, I was using that coping mechanism. I was using food as a control feature for my life because I felt like everything else was chaotic and out of my control. And that's family of origin stuff, right? Like exactly where that came from. And I didn't realize, I just thought that was honest to God, I thought that was normal. I thought everybody did that because
Yeah.
I wasn't talking to anybody else about what was going on with me, right? I was just going out and doing what I was doing and just, you know, like here's how my life works. And until I was able to stop and like I've been in therapy for most of my life with regular, I call them regular therapists, right? And I was sitting down with this one lady and it was so funny. Her name was Karen. And she goes, "You're so good at this." And I said, "Okay." Like, "All right, I'm really good." She goes, "No, no, no." She goes, "You know exactly what to say. Like, you know exactly how to answer the question. Because sitting here with me in a regular counseling session isn't where you need to be." And I go, "What?"
Mm.
Because my life was a mess. Holy was my life a mess at that point. I remember that. Ugh, was it a mess? And I was just failing miserably at everything, but no one could tell on the outside, right? I looked all put together. And she said, "You have an eating disorder and you need to go see someone to help you with that." And I go, like, hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. I eat healthy. I eat blah. I had been to doctors because we were talking earlier. I couldn't poop. I wasn't. And they were like, "You have IBS and all these things." And they sent me to a dietitian who's, I told her exactly what I ate. And she goes, "That's amazing. You're eating really healthy. I don't know what's wrong with you." Well, she never asked me how much I ate.
Yeah.
She never asked me how much I exercised.
Yeah.
Right. So, to help, and that's, I mean, honestly, digging into people's coping mechanisms, because you can, as an outsider, in the work we do, you know this, you can see them. You
Okay.
can see them. We can see them. Not all of them, but the big ones, right? Um, that's a scary place for someone to go and to be able to kind of lead them there or ask good questions. Um, that's tough, man. That's a tough thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it. Here we go. Everybody listen up. Meryl does a great job of doing that because because when we talk, you do it to me. I'm like, look at her reflect back to me. That's amazing. And you do it like the words and it just flows out of you. So I can tell it's really natural. It's not like you're sitting there going, how do I ask this question or how do I reflect back to her? It just happens. Like you're so good at it. You're really,
Aw,
it's true.
thanks. You can
Yeah.
tell where my mom was a psychotherapist.
Was she? I had no idea.
I
And
know
now
it's like
she's,
ingrained in me, I
and
guess.
now she's 71 and deadlifting. I mean, come on. What do you got?
75 and deadlifting
75.
5 pounds over her body weight. I was
Woo!
corrected by her. So,
Well,
excuse me, Mia.
okay. Well, there you go.
I know. So Laura, you said control, and that is something that I think is a really big word that I've personally gone through this as well, where I didn't know that that's what I was doing. Was I'm like white knuckling onto control to something that really ended in like self-sabotage.
Mhm.
So can you talk more about maybe how you released control, how you did that, and what that helped you with?
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because honestly, there's a nuance to that. And I talk to my clients about this, some of them, not all of them. Um, my desire for control that way and the way that I was, quote, controlling everything. Now I look back on it and I watch other people do different things. And I'm like, where really is the locus of control?
Uh,
I wasn't controlling anything. The food was controlling me. The exercise was control. Everything that I thought I was using to control the chaos was actually controlling me. I gave up my control and I think there's got to be a better word for it. I gave up my freedom. I gave up my individuality. I gave up myself to give control over to those things in the thought that this is how I make things happen for myself. This is how I control my life when those things were controlling my life. Um, and honestly, the conversations started in therapy and Tevra's the first person that ever said to me, you have to have a relationship with yourself. And I didn't. And I had to learn to love myself, and I didn't. I didn't love anything about myself, not a dang thing. And I did modeling. I did modeling for like 5 years. And that's a hard, like, talk about rejection. God, ugh,
oh God.
terrible place. Don't do it. Um, but but it fed that part of me that said, you're not good enough. Look at all these people saying you're not good enough. It fed that in me, which was really interesting. But I first learned about that through Tevra and the control piece. And it didn't take right away, right? I had to think it through and I had to try it on and I had to practice it and I had to really like sit in my shit. Not too long cuz then things get bad, but I had to be able to really be honest. Honest with myself, which is hard cuz I'm a perfectionist and a lot of us are. And it was very difficult for me to sit with myself and go, you have flaws. And I knew I did. I knew I did, but I didn't wanna face them because it fed into growing up and being told I wasn't good enough, growing up and being told all those things. So it's that, like, that catch-22, that big, huge loop of everything. And honestly, to be truthful, I still work on that. It still happens. I mean, this is and everybody's so funny. They're like, "Laura, you're so good with your food and your movement and your exercise and your sleep and you really da, da, da." And I'm like, "Yep, I'm really good at those. Let me tell you what I'm really working on."
Mm.
Right? Because it's all up here. Everything in my head. I'm working on feeling low self-worth, feeling like I have to please everyone, feeling like I have to do more. I talk all the time about how great you are and all the things that you do and how wonderful you are with your clients and all those. And I just had a conversation with Paul, Paul, and he was like, "Stop. Meryl is Meryl. You are you." It was this whole conversation. So I still fight all of those things. And I saw something somewhere. I don't remember what it was, and I'm not gonna say it very well, but I will try. One day, I realized that I am who I am, and I absolutely and we are all who we are, and we don't have to be someone else. We don't have to try so hard. There's a space to be able to say, I'm this is where I'm at, and I'm never gonna be different, right? Like something is crazy, and it was actually a huge momentous moment, and this is I'm just gonna use an example like swearing, right? I just swear. That's just who I am. I I would love to be the person who never swears and they're always kind in their voice. Their voice is always kind and they're always never I will never be that person. Part of me for a long time was like, I need to be better. I need to be better. I need to be better. I'm gonna work to that. I'm gonna work to that. I'm gonna work to that.
Mm,
I will never be that person because who I am is emotional. Who I is I am passionate. I use words to emphasize things and this is how I do that and that's fine. And I can mitigate it, when I'm around certain people, but I'm still going to have this passion. I'm still going to have that edge to me
yeah.
and that's okay.
Well, I think that's more than okay.
But right, but that's hard. I mean, if you think about that, when you think I'm sure you have clients running through your head or people that they're trying to it's like, but at the core, who you are is perfect.
Mm,
And there are things about you that you absolutely don't have to change if they serve you, right?
yes, I think that the last part is a really important part. Like there's always parts where you can always change parts of you. However, if it's parts of you that you're trying to change because only you don't like it or because you're having this judgment attached to it, where it's
Yes.
like, swearing because you're passionately speaking about things, like,
Mhm.
that's a cool part of you.
Yeah. And
And
that's just a weird minor thing. I mean, it was
okay,
it
oh,
was
yeah.
deeper than that, but yeah, 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 yeah. And
Yeah.
I love that you said that. It's that judgment that we have on ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The being better, where you said being better, where it was almost this comparison into, like, I wanna be better, I wanna be like her. That's better. So it's automatically making you less than.
Mhm.
So how did you shift that? Was it something like, "Well, how do I be the best me?" This probably isn't a simple answer, but
Uh, actually actually, I'm still shifting that. And it's honestly, it takes a village, right? I mean, so Paul is my business coach, but he's not just a business coach, right? It's not just, and it's like us. We're not just nutrition coaches, right? We're life coaches. We're doing all the things. And so being able to talk to people about it is the thing because it's going to be it's always a work in progress. And I'm 54 already. So I'm pretty sure maybe by the time I'm 80, who knows? But I'm not setting any goals that way. But it really is, and I say this all the time, it really is just saying it, just saying the truth of it. This is how I feel. This is what I'm doing. This is and it comes up in various ways, right? And being able to talk to someone who's objectively outside of the situation to reflect back, like talking to you. It helps me every time I talk to you. Every time I am with someone that I can learn from, that I'm inspired by, that I know is at a level that I want to be at or I know that they're working towards something like I am. Oh, it's the 5 people you surround yourself with the most, right? Right? I want to level up for myself in a variety of ways. And so I surround myself with people like that. And if I am going to use that time, if I am going to really maximize those relationships, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, right? I'm saying that in a connection way, then I have to be honest and I have to say things. And it's like, just a small example. So I'm doing this bodybuilding show in 3 weeks. God help us all. And Paul is also my bodybuilding coach. And it must have been about a month ago, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I don't think I'm ready. Like, my body's not gonna do these things. And he goes, where are you seeing, like, who are you comparing yourself to? And I'm like, well, on Instagram and the thing. And he goes, oh my God, you're comparing yourself to like 25-year-old girls.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? And he goes, oh, geez. So he sends me like people my age who do this, those videos. And I'm like, oh, it didn't even dawn on me that I was comparing myself to the wrong people. Like, to-
Mm,
and at the same time, he's like, and stop comparing yourself to people, that kind of thing.
yeah.
But even if you are, because we all do that, you have to be cognizant, really cognizant of what are you actually comparing yourself to? Does it make sense?
Yeah. I, and is it helping you? I mean, listen, we've all been guilty of being in the comparison trap and probably continually too, even if we know that that is somewhat toxic for us, we still do it like you just said, right? You probably have conversations with your clients all the time. I do. And then
Mhm,
we still compare
mhm.
ourselves.
Because that's a great point though. As a coach, I'm still working through those things. Like, I'm not
Oh
perfect.
yeah.
Please don't look at me like I'm perfect.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with comparison, I'm curious, this is something that's helped me is actually talking to those people. And I mean, same as whenever I talk with you, I have a lot of growth points and you're always very helpful to me, right? Those people that you say, you know what, they're doing cool shit and I want to do cool shit. It may not be exactly the same. That's something that I'm still learning is like, they're doing this. It doesn't mean that I have to do it that way.
Mhm.
But asking like, hey, what's helped you be able to do that? That was honestly how I started asking for more help instead of trying to do all of the things by myself,
Yeah.
um, which was a hard point to come to, but was extremely helpful.
And how did you get there?
Having conversations with people and actually like admitting, like, I don't know what I'm doing, or hey, I'm struggling with this point, or like, hey, how did you did this and that you started an online business. How did you do that? Who helped you?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Like you didn't do it all by yourself. Someone actually helped you do it. Oh my God. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what's interesting about that is it doesn't have to, you can take their information, what they did, and you could like lay it out on a table and go, I like this piece and this piece and this piece,
Mhm.
right? And if you have it in front of you, then you can pick the things that work for you.
Mm,
And if you're struggling, you can still ask questions. But like, so it's not about getting to where they're at. It's about seeing how they got there and picking things that work for you to get where you want to go.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a great point.
I hadn't thought about that. Thank you for saying that.
Of course.
That's gonna help me with my comparison issue. It is. I hadn't thought about that. Because here's the thing, but it makes complete sense when you break it down and think about it, because I want to, like with the bodybuilding thing, I was like, I wanna look like that, because in my head, looking like that meant that I was good enough to be there,
Uh,
right? But in essence, I just wanted to make sure that my body looks good enough to be there.
uh,
So, but in my brain, I was taking that and comparing it. You know what does that make sense? Like,
mhm.
I'm looking at this picture saying, okay, I have to do that, but I don't have to do that. And I wasn't understanding, I wasn't making that connection, because I know when I talk about it, I'm like, I just want my body to be in a spot where I deserve to be on that stage. Like, I don't want to be a mushy girl up there. Like, I don't want people to be going, what the hell is she doing on the stage? Right.
Mhm.
So I have that cognition, but then I turn and look at what I think, or what I'm comparing myself to, which, does that make any sense? I don't know if I'm making sense there. Instead of saying I'm on the path and I'm doing the things, but my body is going to look different because of who I am, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of what I'm hearing in there is like you're gaining information and then also you get to decide what you do with that information. Okay, well that person did that and like I have no interest in doing that. That doesn't align with my values or what my goals are. So one, like, all right, I'm not going to do that. Maybe I ask someone else, or maybe I take more information. But again, bringing it back into, am I doing, like in your case, am I doing the things that are going to allow me to feel like I deserve to be on the stage for this
Mhm,
show? And
mhm.
that's where I'm sure you have a lot of conversations with clients where they want to be somewhere. They have an outcome based goal, and then checking in what they're doing.
'Cause the goal is way over here, and all they do is look at that, and they forget about right now. What are you doing right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I see as part of that is, well, I'm doing the same thing as her, and she's way ahead of me, or she's getting these results that I'm not getting. Do you have that conversation ever?
All the time.
What are the things that you talk about within that if someone says that to you?
Well, people who work with me know, and I say this all the time. I always say everybody is different, and that's why working with a coach is important because you can't just go to Instagram and be like, I'm going to do that and it's going to work for me. That doesn't work for most people because you're not them, or what you're seeing them put on Instagram isn't necessarily what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
Right. And I always say that. I always say, I'm going to work with you individually. And I'm sure you say the same thing. We're going to work together on this. We're going to get in the mud together and we're going to find out what works specifically for you, right? Because everybody brings their own history to the table. Everybody brings their own, and genetics play a small role, right? They give us what could possibilities, but not probabilities, right?
Um,
So we have to look at where we've been, what we've done, and what we're willing to do to get there. Because I mean, you and I could be sitting here and doing exactly the same thing, but are we? But are we? Right? Because
yeah.
we don't know that for sure. And I might want it more than you might want it more than me, you might be, it's just a different thing. So I try to, eyes on your own plate. I say that a lot. I learned that in eating disorders therapy, eyes on your own plate. And it has to be about your journey and where you're at. And we talk about those things like, well, this person, you know, they might have done something different in their past. Like they didn't chronically diet for the last 30 years.
Uh,
That doesn't mean you're not gonna get there, that just means we have to go a different route to get there, right? It's kinda like Google Maps, right? Sometimes you have to avoid the crashes or you have to go the slower route because you can't make that kinda thing. So, I talk a lot about that. How do you address that?
oh, very similarly is like we don't know what one, like you said, everybody's different. Everybody has different history. No two people are exactly the same. No two people have the exact same life. Like one small choice could have made the big difference in aspects. No, so there's so many differences that I don't think we can ever directly compare ourselves to someone else and have that be something that's supportive for us. So very similarly, and I'm not going to repeat everything. It's like, well, let's just focus on you, like where you're coming from. That I think is one of the biggest comparisons. That is a supportive aspect for people. Is where were you when you started with this goal?
Mhm,
Where are you now? You may have a long way to go, and let's not negate how far you've come, your growth points,
mhm,
how you've got here, because it's probably been by doing a lot of hard shit and
mhm.
things that you maybe necessarily didn't feel like doing. And and comparing to yourself within stages of fate or phases of life.
Sure, 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 yeah. Do you feel like, sometimes and this just came to my mind, so I'm not sure, I'm kinda rummaging through this myself. Do you feel like when they do that, when clients do that, they're like, "Well, she's going faster," or "Why is that working for them and not for me?" And this and that. Do you feel like that is a little bit of self-sabotage and maybe distraction from, their own journey?
Oh, probably. Like
Yeah?
it for some people, sure.
I mean, I don't wanna say excuse, right? Like, well, this is my excuse, but maybe they're looking for reasons why, maybe they, "Oh, I've been trying hard, maybe I'll back off a little bit." You know what? And I say that from the space of I've done that, right?
Definitely,
Like,
yeah, that's what I was
when
gonna say is let's use ourselves because I've certainly done that. You said you've done it, so tell your story in there.
there's so many stories, which one should I choose? Um, really, and the most recent is the bodybuilding thing because, I was, yeah, man, it is like, well, I'm not gonna look like that, so I should just not work so hard. Or, not work so hard in the gym because is it really gonna matter? Is it really gonna matter if I have this handful of peanuts today? Probably not. That kind of thing. And then when the scale doesn't move down, right? It's like, "Oh, no." Or the scale, and it's not about weight for women in bodybuilding. It's not there aren't weight classes, but it's a fat loss thing. It's not weight, it's fat loss. And so when the fat loss doesn't, it kind of stalls, you're like, "Oh, well, maybe my body just doesn't like doing this." That kind of thing. It's like, no,
Mhm.
it's because you had a handful of nuts, you moron. I mean, but it's that. It's the honesty part. It goes back to that relationship with self is
Mhm.
I have to be, because here's the thing. I can have a handful of nuts, or I can have a cookie, or I can have a Ben and Jerry's, or I can do whatever, depending on who you are and what you're doing. It's not gonna hurt your coach. It's not gonna hurt your loved one. It's not gonna do any of those things. So it doesn't matter if it's secret or not, because it's affecting your progress toward your goal ultimately. And you have to be honest with yourself and go, I didn't want it bad enough today. Or it doesn't have to be put in a negative light.
Mhm.
Or it was like, you know what? I just needed a break today. I just needed a Ben and Jerry's today.
Yeah.
Great. Glad. And I have clients that do that. I'm like, good for you. Did it feel good? And I always ask, that's where I go with it. I like, did you enjoy it? Yes. When you woke up the next day, did you beat yourself up over it? I did not. Good. Because if you use that to beat yourself over the head like a bat, that's not appropriate. We can't do that. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Then we have some stuff to dig into.
Hmm.
The secret part is that's something that stood out to me in what you said, where if you're keeping it a secret, that's a really big like red flag waving all around, right? Like, why is it a secret?
Hmm.
Because there's shame, because there's guilt, and
Hmm.
why? Like these are things that and Paul and I talked about this in the last podcast episode where, these are things not to run away from. And w- in my own story, like I ran away from feeling certain things. And then, in my mind, I was like, well, I'm doing the same things. Why am I not seeing results? And like, the funny thing is, like, I really believed that. I'm doing the same things as her.
Of course.
Definitely not logging the things in my macros that I didn't wanna see,
Yeah.
right?
And we all do that. We
Mhm.
all do that because there's that guilt and that shame and the feelings that we don't want to deal with. And it's interesting because it's not about those feelings in that moment. It's about the past with those feelings,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Uh-huh.
man, you start digging into that and
Ooh.
that's work.
Ooh.
That's hard work right there.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, that's the work that's going to make these changes lifelong.
It's really challenging, and you have to get very vulnerable with yourself, which is a scary place to be, and 100% of the time, I hear from people that it was worth it. And, like, the coolest shit
Mhm.
happens. Like, those people just change.
Mhm.
I think that's the coolest part of being a coach for me is, like, when you talk to those people who, like, did the nitty-gritty hard work that, like, that it was hard. You worked with them side by side through it, and then, like, one day they're just, like, glowing.
Yeah, and you're like jumping up and down. You're like, "Yes!" Like huge win. Absolutely. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's life changing. And it's life and people think life changing things are like explosions or rockets going off or like this giant thing. Life-changing things happen in small steps, small increments. And it's the things that you do over and over and the thoughts that you have and the work that you do in
Mhm.
small increments. And all of a sudden one day, it's kind of like I always think of it kind of like uh these people who are overnight successes, right? Like
Yeah.
Justin Bieber all of a sudden, right? It's like look at the work that he did to get to that point, and he knows darn well that he put a ton of work into it. And it's the same thing with the work that we do with our clients. It's like all that work and we go, "Yes." And then
Mhm.
what do? We celebrate and it's awesome, and then we go, "All right, let's get back to it."
Mhm.
Because there's always something more,
Oh, as long as you're above ground,
right?
there's always more cool shit to be done. And that's again, like, don't I would say, like, don't ever not celebrate your wins. That's an important piece of it. It's when you celebrate it and you're like, okay, now I'm done.
Mm, yeah. And it's so great that you say that because as long as like you said, as long as you're living, the second you don't have a purpose or you don't have some sort of whatever you wanna call your goal, right? Is when you end up like sitting on the couch eating bonbons, watching TV or playing video games for the rest of your life and you don't have a long life anymore, right? Like
Right.
there has to be, like for me, I was a runner for a long time and then I did CrossFit for a long time. And now I'm doing this bodybuilding show for the first time. And I'm 54 and I have a client, he's 70. He's 70. He just climbed Grand Teton for the first time.
Oh my god.
He
That's awesome.
tried 2 other times and didn't make it, and this time we worked together, and it wasn't about his strength. Like, he had a guide who had done 140 climbs, and the guide looked at him, he goes, "Physically, you can do this." And so what did we work on? We kept training.
Yeah.
Yes. What are you saying to yourself? You don't get to talk to like that. I mean, we just, and 70,
That's awesome.
70. Yeah, just 2 weeks ago.
That's
Grand
so awesome.
and we celebrated, I gave him a giant hug and I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
he sent me a picture, and then when I saw him, big hugs, all the same, and then I said, "So you get to enjoy this for a bit?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "And then you get to figure out what you're gonna do next,
Yeah.
because 'cause you're only 70. You have a lot of time left."
Yeah, and that is such proof of what else, like, you did that. That is so freaking awesome.
Mhm.
What's next? Like, let's use this as momentum. Let's use it as a catalyst because that leads into people knowing, like, their capability. I did something I didn't even think that I could do. I did
Right.
something that I failed twice.
Right. Because he didn't fail.
Yeah.
He just, he learned something every single time he did it. He
Yeah.
learned something. Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's anyway.
so what's your purpose or what are your purpose and values and things that help you? Because I was like, research can I do on Laura before this call? Very
Oh,
minimal.
no.
Very
Did
minimal.
you Google me? Be careful. Be careful.
Just like
I've had people Google me and anyway,
but your Instagram profile says rise from your struggles and reinvent yourself. So what are the things that have helped you to do that?
therapy. No, that's one of them.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had this conversation when I was doing CrossFit. When we lived in Iowa, we move a lot like you. And I was talking to a psychologist. He came all the time. His name is JK, and we always talked. And I said to him, I said, I'm wondering. He said, what? I said, so having been in education, working with a lot of kids, I said, we'll have kids. It's an interesting thing. We'll have kids who come from terrible, terrible home lives, terrible abuse, neglect. I mean, all those things. And what you'll see is some kids come to school and they react like they are outrageous, all the things, right? They're the bad kids, right? In
Yeah.
air quotes. Um, but then other kids, and we know it's a similar situation, right? Other kids, after all those years of being with children, other kids come to school and it's their safe haven and they
Uh,
don't act out and they don't do those things. And I said, "Why? Why does that happen?" And he goes, "That is a great question." He said, "There's not a lot of research on it." He said, "'Cause we don't really know." And he said, "My opinion after all the years that he'd been in psychology and doing all the things, was he said that some people are just born with like a genetic disposition toward grit, toward pushing, toward whatever. He said that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but there's some little spark in there that somehow they feed and works for them. And I think I'm not saying that I have that. I'm not saying that I had that. My growing up years were really interesting. Um, but I've always felt like I was put on this planet to do something important. Like I have a higher purpose for being here. And I do believe in a higher being,
Okay.
whatever y'all want to think that is. I mean, everybody gets to have their belief system, and that's fine. So I don't talk about that necessarily very much. But and I believe that about every one of us. I believe every one of us, we are on this planet to make it better. We are on this planet, and it's not about making the planet better. It's about making the people better and connecting with people and the relationships. And the way to do that is to make myself better and make my relationship with myself better. And so, man, the things that I have gone through, not of my own doing and of my own doing, um, there was always that part of me that was like, okay, you can do this right now. And there will come a time you're not doing this anymore
Uh,
because you have to learn from this. You have to, and that's me. I'm a constant learner. I'm a constant learner. And the biggest learning curve is for understanding myself and why I do the things I do. Um, and if I didn't have a purpose on this planet, if I didn't feel like I had something that I had to make better or help someone. I always say that, like, I want to help as many people as I can in whatever way I can. If I didn't feel like I was able to do that or I wasn't doing that, I don't know that I would continue to exist. Truly. I don't. Because I can't imagine just every day of my life being like, well, I'm going to get up and I'm going to watch TV and I'm going to take the dog for a walk and then I'm going to eat food and then I'm going to watch TV. I mean, like, ah. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but I don't know.
well, a couple things in there that I heard is part of your reasons for doing all the things you do is learning and growing. Like that seems like it's one of your strong values.
Mhm.
And that's something that I see that that will support you in doing the hardest shit. Because if you can learn from anything, I think truly believe that you're winning.
Winning.
Winning. And you said like service and connection,
Mhm.
maybe where like if you couldn't connect with people in your day and you're just like living in a bubble.
Yeah.
Which I know some of us are like, "Oh, I wish that's what like, I could have a day that was just, doing nothing and whatever I want." But
Yeah.
every day like that, oh my god, I
Well, because you work from home, right? If you don't get out, right? Just hanging out with you and the dogs, although the dogs are great, right? Dogs are great. But there comes a time where you're like, oh my God, I have to be around human beings and I have to have meaningful conversation.
oh my god, yes. That
Mhm.
is why I go to a gym, 'cause I need to talk to other people, and also, honestly, even though I have in the past been given advice if I wanted to make more money as a business owner, that I would do less calls and spend less time with people,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Yeah, I don't care."
Mhm.
I
Right?
do not care. If that's what it takes to make more money, then I don't wanna make more money,
Mhm.
because
Right.
that is one of my big values is connecting with people, and I want that to be part of what I do.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? If that wasn't what you wanted to do, you would have 300 clients and you would be a macro coach and you would spend, you know what I mean? All you do is macros. That's it. You'd be a macro coach. It'd be fantastic. But not fantastic because I mean, there's a space for those people, which is great, but that doesn't feed your soul. Not you. That doesn't feed your soul.
Oh, personally, yeah, I mean, I've had to learn through like experience, just like you and I talk about this all the time, right? Learning through experience of what you like and what you don't like. And that's what guides you into doing more of the things that fuel your soul. Like
You know what though? Do you find with certain clients, so I have a certain kind of demographic of clients. I have a group, generally older women, 40s, 50s, whatever. Um, do you find that they don't even know what they like?
yeah.
Scary. I mean, I
Well,
say that's scary, but I've been there, right? No hobbies, no interests, just working and coming home.
oh yeah. And I think that a lot of that is generational and this I wouldn't say it's everybody, but I think in that age range, it's like a lot of what was expected and taught, and people pleasing is something that comes across greatly to the point that these people have been like, I don't even know what I like. I don't
Mhm.
know what I want in life. I realize that I am number 73 on my priority list, and I've
Right.
been putting everything and everybody else in front of me. And the coolest thing that I've well, not the coolest, but, like, one of the coolest things that I have experienced is, like, people being like, "You know what? I voiced my opinion. I
Right?
set my boundary. I prioritized myself. I did something, and I realized I don't like that."
Yeah. And that's like, that's the spark, right? That changes. It's like all of a sudden, then things start to change, right? Things start to change. I love that. I love that when that happens.
Yes. Yeah. So, with you're in bodybuilding right now, like, you have a show in 3 weeks, so we just talked about before we pressed record, like, you're deep in it, and you've navigated some challenging obstacles, but I'm curious in because of your history with anorexia, bulimia, orthorexia,
Mhm.
how has that shifted? Because the mo the modalities may be somewhat similar in
Mhm.
bodybuilding to eating disorders, so and we've talked about the mental aspect, so what are the big shifts that have supported you in going into bodybuilding prep where you're doing it differently?
Those are great questions. One of the things is I'm really honest with my coach, and my coach knows exactly uh where I've been, what I do, how I do, and how I think. So we're very open about how are things going right now, right? Like you're deep in a cut. How are you feeling? What's going on? What are your thoughts? It's about the thoughts, right? Because it, because it is the mental thing. Because and I eating disorders are not about the food. Eating disorders are about how we believe, how we perceive ourselves, and what our thoughts are. And like I said, control whatever it is. Like maybe I hate myself, so I'm not going to feed myself, whatever it is. Um, so going into bodybuilding, number one, I went through probably a decade of just doing all the healthy things for myself, right? Exercising appropriately for me, eating well. I was not in a deficit. I've been in a deficit for a long time. Have not. I've been eating, like taking care of myself. Um, and yeah, I always weigh and measure my food. I have always done that since I went to eating disorders therapy because I know my baseline is not eating enough.
Mm,
So for me to be healthy, that's how I make sure I eat enough food. Right? So it's not part of a disorder, it's a tool for me, and it works. Um, so going into bodybuilding with my eyes wide open and saying, if this so the reason I didn't and we talked about this, I didn't talk about doing this until about 3 weeks ago in public at all, because I came into this saying, I wanna see what my body can do, and if I don't get on stage, that's okay. Because that brings up a whole other slew of things, right? Being up in front of people, being judged, my body, all the things, right? Um, if I don't get up on stage, that's fine. I'll get pictures taken. I'll be good, right? Because this is for me. This isn't for anybody else. I do not care what anybody else thinks. And so that I always had an escape route that if it got to be too much or I felt like I was tipping into different thoughts about my body and myself again, that I could jump out.
Mhm.
And that was we talked about that all the time, me and my coach. This is so different though, because I'm very, very hungry, and I have been. I have been for a while. I'm chewing a lot of gum. I'm drinking a lot of water and Diet Coke. That's where I'm at. Um, and I know every day I go, I can't believe that I lived like this for 25 years of my life, and I thought I was okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it doesn't feel good. And for all y'all out there who are chronic dieters over and over, and you're only eating like 1,200 calories a day, I'm here to tell you, you feel like garbage. You just don't know it, right?
Yeah, your body is adapted to feeling like garbage. That's your baseline.
Yep, absolutely. And your moods are crazy, and you don't, it's a thing. So going through this and being connected to my body now and going, oh yeah, I don't like this. I don't, this is not something that I would continue to do.
Mhm.
I mean, short periods of time, sure. If I choose to do another bodybuilding competition in a year or a year and a half, because it isn't going to be 6 weeks down the road, right? You don't continuously do that. So right now I'm feeling really good mentally. I'm like, this is until October 4th. There's a drop dead date. It's done. And then I'm going to come back out of it in a very healthy way and not put on a ton of fat, right? And just put on enough, because my body needs to have that. But really just, say, hey, that was great. If I choose to do it again, I do. But I don't feel like I'm jumping into any disordered eating or disordered thoughts, really. Yeah.
That's awesome. So different intention behind it, and also continually checking in with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, and this is, I want to say for the listeners who aren't familiar with bodybuilding, the weight and look that someone steps on a stage at is not where they are going to stay, and in that is not equal health.
Mm.
So,
Bodybuilding is not a healthy thing. You can do it healthier.
yeah.
But yeah, I did a Instagram post about it, and one of my former clients asked that question, like, what are you gonna do when you're done? Like, how are you gonna stay or something? And I was like, oh no, I'm not staying here. No one should walk around this lean ever, ever, unless you're doing a show, right? Or if something's wrong with you, like illness wise, then maybe you walk around. And there are people who are naturally leaner, right? But this type of like stage lean, being like that, is not a healthy place to be. That's why you get in and you get out. And that's what we're going to do. Get in and get out.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, and like you said, you have a plan for afterwards to healthfully, I don't even know if that's a word, healthfully, like, reverse out of it, and where health is a more main focus.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So with hunger, like, if we're focused, we talked a little bit about hunger, where hunger when you're in an extreme deficit is very different, like in prep for a show. But if someone has fat loss as a focus, that maybe is part of a health-based goal, and they're dealing with hunger.
Which is good. We need to be hungry if we're losing fat. You should be hungry.
This is
I
a
think
conversation I've had a lot recently with clients, so I'd love for you to talk on it a little bit more.
I have the same conversation, right? Hunger is uncomfortable, right? Because hunger really is our brain thinks that hunger means we're starving. And you hear people do, I'm starving. Like,
Mm.
you're really not. You're really not starving. But our brain tells us we're starving. And the brain is like, holy crap, we're going to die. We're going to die. So you need to eat more food. And so being hungry is uncomfortable. We have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in order, because your body wants to stay at that set point where it's at. Once your body gets to a certain point, it just wants to stay there. It's okay with adding more food. It's not healthy. It doesn't function well, but your brain is not going to be like, oh my God, we're dying. It won't tell you that unless you're actually hungry, right? Hunger, we need hunger. We need hunger because then we also know that our metabolism is working in a great way because when you're hungry, it's an interesting thing. If your glucose is high all the time, you won't be hungry. You just won't be hungry. Your body's not going to want food because your glucose is high. Glucose, cortisol, all those things pop up and you're in that sympathetic state. You're in your adrenals. And you're not hungry then. You're not in rest and digest state. Some people, when they're super stressed out like that, they eat, but it's not because they're hungry.
Uh-huh.
It's because they're trying to disassociate or whatever they're doing. So when we're in a fat loss state, we want to be hungry. So how do we help with that? Well, eat more voluminous foods, right? Broccoli, like we're pumping the veggies in there. We're getting chew gum. I have a client right now. She's like, I'm chewing gum. I'm like, good for you. Chew the gum. Um, we don't want to be so hungry that we can't handle it.
Right.
Right. So we have to, and honestly, and you talked about this earlier. It's like, that's where the communication comes in. That's where the connection comes in. This is what's going on with me. And to be able to say, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. I will jump into that bag of cookies, both feet, if I don't talk to you right now, that kind of thing. So yeah, hunger is a really interesting thing. And it's good. It's good to be uncomfortable. If we're always sitting in comfort, number one, what we know is we're not challenging ourselves and we're not going to feel fulfilled as people. So yeah. And that hunger is your body's way of saying, I'm losing fat and we want to lose fat. So do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. That was a great comment on that. Thank you.
Okay. I wouldn't suggest like the kind of hunger for bodybuilding is a whole different beast, but that's okay. But you know what though? It becomes it's like a quest. Like I will not eat until I'm supposed to. And like you get like super mentally strong. It's like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah, I think that is a piece in bodybuilding that I very much respect where it is hard as fuck. Like you just said, like you had some points where you're really, really struggling. And this is where you get to kind of live in the edges of
Mhm.
things. And in the edges of things is where, when you sit in there and you tolerate that level of discomfort, there's so much cool shit that happens afterwards. It lends to your resilience and your belief in yourself, your competence, like just knowing that you can do hard things and self-efficacy. Like Paul and I just talked about this too. Self-efficacy, where like you have this goal. If you're bodybuilding, your goal is to lose as much fat as possible,
Mhm.
stand on a stage and in little to nothing. And you know what? Like that level of hunger is going to be associated and aligned with that goal.
Mhm. And also though, you and I talked about this too. You don't have to be in that big of a deficit like bodybuilding to have the benefits of like, excuse me, my throat. Anyway, I mean, even if your deficit, whatever deficit you're in a fat loss phase and you're hungry, you get to feel that sense of accomplishment. You are living on the edges.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're in 200 calorie deficit or a 600 calorie deficit. What you're feeling is the same thing that I'm feeling right now. It is the same thing. And you get to feel the same success when you hold yourself accountable and you do the thing you said you're going to do. You get to feel, yes, I can do hard things. Yes, you will gain confidence from that. You will gain that sense of, I am strong because you are.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks
yeah.
for saying that again, because Laura and I had this conversation before we hopped on, because we're both in calorie deficits right now, and I kinda downplayed mine because I'm eating way more than her, and my goal is not to step on stage, and, yeah, I was, like, shitting on myself all in there, and you reminded me of that
Yeah.
again, so,
It's
yeah.
all hard. It's all hard. It is. It's all hard. And we
Yeah,
can do hard things. So, yeah.
we can. All right, Laura. So I'm gonna ask you some like random questions.
Yay. Okay.
What what's something you do when you're alone that you'd be embarrassed if people knew about?
Oh. Um you want me to say really embarrassing things when uh I can't believe I'm saying this. Oh my god. I jump onto YouTube and I'm one of those people that I like to like pop pimples and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So I will jump on YouTube and I'll be like, "Oh," and I get into like a trance state. I'm very calm and it just really relaxes me. And that's and if someone like if my husband walks by behind me, I like turn the camera so he can't like see it. So he doesn't know what I'm watching because he thinks it's disgusting. That's what I do.
Oh my god, I do that with videos of people plucking hairs out where
Oh.
they go like in microscopic view of plucking hairs. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yay. Okay, I'm not really strange. All right, thank you. Thank you for making me feel better.
No, I love it. I bet you're not alone in that entirely. So, what's a completely irrational fear that you have?
Um, oh, irrational? I am deathly afraid of spiders. And we have a giant spider under our deck right now. We moved to Wyoming just over a year ago. And honest to God, the body, like the belly of this spider is about 2 inches wide. Like,
Yee.
oh! And
Yeah.
somebody said to me, they go, "Oh, no, no, no. That's some sort of cat spider or something. Those are so great. Don't kill it. It eats bugs and it's wonderful." And honest to God, it only comes out at night. And I swear to you, Meryl, in the next few weeks, that thing's going to die. I don't know how, but I will kill it. I can't get near it, so I'm not quite sure how that's gonna happen. It's gonna have to be like some sort of spray or something. But oh god, because it's gonna get cold. Where's the spider gonna wanna go when it gets cold, Meryl?
Oh yeah.
In the house. I cannot have that. I'd have to burn down the house. So,
Oh
yes.
yeah. I'm like that with snakes. Maybe you just gotta name her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it a her
Yeah.
and make it less. I don't know.
No.
No.
Can't do it.
What do you have a song or a style of music that is like your hype? Do you have like a hype song?
I don't have a specific hype song. It depends on the day.
Mhm.
But I am an 80s metalhead.
Ooh.
Like Motley Crue,
Okay.
Cinderella, like all those. I am that is me.
Okay. I love that.
Mhm.
There your dog's name is Guar,
Yes.
which shocked me because I was like, wait, like the band like the
Yes.
bands.
Yes. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that was kind of like one of those shocking things that I was like, I didn't know that about you. That you
Mhm.
liked that style of music.
Yeah. It's great.
Um, okay, not last question. You have 2 questions left. What is a ritual that you do before something a ritual or like a superstition? You are a big sports fan, right?
I am. Football. I'm a
Okay, so
football
you're a Vikings fan, right?
I am. Oh,
Do you have
yeah.
any do you do you have any, rituals or superstitions associated with Vikings games?
You know what? If the Vikings actually were really, really good at any point, I probably would. Um,
Okay.
but honestly, when I was a teacher and a principal, I always wore my Vikings jersey on Friday before a game.
Okay.
Always, 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 always. And if I'm able to watch the game, I always wear my Vikings jersey and I wear my Viking socks.
Oh, the socks.
Yes. The issue is when we move around so much, like right here where we are in Wyoming, like I got to watch the Monday night game against the Bears, but I normally don't get to watch Vikings games. So,
Ah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we when we lived in Europe, I got it when the New England Patriots were in the Super Bowl, and I was watching it at 2 in the morning, and I
Oh
was
my,
like, "You guys are I feel like I should have won a prize for that,"
you
but
should have. My goodness.
I know. Send
You're
me
a Patriots
something.
fan? I didn't know you were a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
Tom
yeah,
Brady.
I honestly haven't watched football that much in the past few years, but yep, born and raised in the Boston area, so
Nice. There you go.
alright, Laura, last question. What does doing cool shit mean to you?
Doing cool shit means, Meryl, and she's my friend, and I love her. But other than that, um, doing cool shit means to me that I'm alive.
Uh,
Doing cool shit is I am alive and I'm challenging myself to move beyond my comfort zone. Period. No matter what. That's doing cool shit. I don't care how small it is. I don't care how big it is. I'm definitely never gonna, climb Grand Teton. But like cool shit is whatever it is in the moment that fills me up and makes me feel powerful and strong.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on
Thank you for
podcast.
having me.
I
Yeah,
always
this was
love
fantastic.
you. And just plug yourself. Give all your info if people want to reach out and chat with Laura. I suggest you follow her. She's been posting her walk series, little pep talks, and they're amazing.
Woohoo. Yeah,
So
I you can find me anywhere, like Instagram, it's Coach Laura L. I'm on LinkedIn. Geez, weird, right? Facebook, Coach Laura L Coaching, anywhere like that. I have a website, Laura L Coaching. So you can find me on socials. I'm hanging out.
yeah, go give her a follow. I will post all of that in the notes so you guys have it. And we will catch you next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.